All right, everyone, welcome back into another NBA props video. Actually, it's the first one of the year. I'm pretty excited to get into it, so let's get into it. So I'm going to be starting out with the slate preview like I typically would for the NFL games or college football games. We got the loss, and I'm just doing the Tuesday games. I will be doing a separate video for the Wednesday games. But looking at it right now, two pretty fun games. Obviously, it's the first day of having NBA back. We're going to be excited for that. We got the Nuggets favored by 5 points against the LA Lakers, and we have the Golden State Warriors favored by a point against the Phoenix Suns. We'll go ahead and start out with the Lakers situation. So we got no real injury news to worry about in that game thus far. Now we go ahead and look at the projected starting lineups for that game. We got Russell, Austin Reeves, Taurean Prince, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. And if we look at the Lakers last game, it kind of seems like that was a little bit of a tune-up game for them for that starting lineup. Okay, we can see basically 22 or so minutes for the starters. And then I think we are going to see kind of the bench with Hachimura, with Christian Wood, play a role like that. I'm curious about Jackson Hayes minutes this year. You'd imagine Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent, those guys will get a decent amount of work though as well. They'll be, coming in off the bench. Cam Reddish, interested to see what minutes he gets throughout the season as well. But I do think we are going to see a pretty heavily concentrated workload for Anthony Davis, LeBron, Russell, and Reeves for the most part. Like, we can predict them to get at least 30 minutes. And then Taurean Prince is definitely interesting. If he's going to be starting, he's not terrible. We're not going to get any props on him that we want to bet, but worth noting. We look at the Denver Nuggets, their projected starting lineup. I would say no surprises there. And we have somewhat gotten a look at what this Nuggets team will look like. Obviously, in the preseason, coaches are trying to get different looks at different lineups and whatnot, potential rotations and all that good stuff. But we got kind of a good indication what was going to occur. And we still know Jokic going to be a stud. Jamal Murray going to be the number 2. But I do think Aaron Gordon and MPJ, those are going to be two kind of random players to predict. And what I mean by that is on any given night, we won't know exactly which one's going to go off or have like the breakout game. And while we are talking about that game, guys, I do just want to start with calling out a good EV bet that we currently have on Underdog. Okay, I typically like to start out my videos with that coverage. And so we have a really good EV bet for Michael Porter Jr. for over 20.5 points, rebounds, and assists. We can already see that PrizePicks has bumped it to 21. I'm not sure if this will be there by the time most of you guys get there, but it is something I want to call out because to me, it is going to be an intriguing one. Now, I do want to remind you guys, if you are new to Underdog Fantasy, haven't signed up yet, use the promo code 9to5 to get 100% match on a deposit up to $100. That's just a way to support the channel as well. It's going to kick back some money my way. And I also want to call out a promo code that I currently have going on for the first 7 days of the NBA season. Use the promo code NBA to get 50% off your first 9 to 5 monthly membership. Okay, that's going to be available to new members only. Once the first month is up, it'll be the full $10 price. Obviously, still a good value there. So now getting back into kind of the slate preview, we got the Suns versus the Warriors here. A little bit of injury news for the Suns, actually. And so got to see what's going on there. And then the Golden State Warriors, we kind of know what to expect there. Let's take a peek at their starting lineups. So yes, we got Bradley Beal, Devin Booker. They're currently game time decisions. And so we'll take a peek at kind of the injury report for them. They don't seem to be too concerned about Devin Booker playing, preseason game. That's why he sat out. I don't think anyone's too worried about that. At the same time, it is the start of the season. Like, it's a long season. If anyone is actually banged up, they could easily sit. I just don't expect that to occur unless they are banged up. Same thing with Bradley Beal. Like, we are expecting both of those guys to play. And so I don't think we're too worried about the injury report. And then just looking at the Golden State Warriors, it is kind of interesting that this starting lineup, but also it makes sense. They are going to be a little bit smaller with Draymond Green playing at the center. And so, personally, I think they'd be better off having him probably come off the bench, but oh well. I think that's actually going to lead to like Yusuf getting a pretty good game or KD having a pretty good game. Let's just take a peek at their kind of last few preseason games. So the tough part about the Phoenix Suns in terms of their preseason is that I don't think we're going to get a good indication of exactly what's going to occur because throughout the preseason, they were kind of mixing and matching their lineups as you expect teams to do in the preseason. I do want to call out Yusuf's production though. He was someone that played pretty well. And we are currently not getting any fantasy score props on PrizePicks just yet. But if we look at his points, rebounds, and assists, to me, this is an extremely low number for him. And I know he's on a different team and whatnot, but I really just don't see his stats changing too much from what they were last year. So, about 3 assists per game, add on the 9 rebounds, that's 12 right there. That's about 25.3 or so. And so this is a pretty low number. And I do think that if Draymond Green is going to be playing against centers, I know he's supposed to be a good defender, but he's going to be outmatched. And thus, I do think Yusuf is actually going to be someone that we're looking at. Nurk should be able to have a really solid game. Like, to me, this probably should be their starting lineup. And I know Draymond Green was inactive in that game, but you get Kevon Looney starting, playing around 20 to 25 minutes. So it wouldn't be shocking, and maybe it is. And I want to call out like Chris Paul's assist total. Like, you would think that Chris Paul would be able to get a ton of assists this season with, kicking out to Clay for him, chucking up threes, 1 for 8, Curry 1 for 6 in that game. You expect them to be a little bit better from the 3-ball range. And it is worth noting that like Jonathan Kuminga had himself a really awesome preseason. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into the top prop bets for Tuesday. And so we're just going through it. Michael Porter Jr., I do kind of like this one. I think it's a very solid one. It makes for a better bet there on Underdog, like I mentioned, at 20.5. He has about a 55% chance to get over that. And guys, the thing that you like about NBA is, as opposed to really, let's say MLB for an example, a lot of the props that we're getting for MLB are like hits, runs, RBIs, or like pitching strikeouts. Like, those are kind of the ones that we're looking at, where it's such a small difference in like the total that, yes, if it's a good EV bet, it's awesome. It's not typically going to be there for a long time, and there typically aren't that huge discrepancies there. Same thing kind of with NHL. You look at NFL, NFL props hit at their expected rates, but also there's more randomness to them, like injuries, big plays. I mean, it's football. We know that there's kind of some random stuff that occurs. The nice thing about NBA is there isn't the like huge pits and valleys. Like, really the biggest variables that we are worrying about is like foul trouble. And that's kind of it, especially when we can accurately predict minutes. Now, like I said, I'll get into the Wednesday game on a separate video. I want to call Xavier Tillman. I actually kind of like that one for over rebounds with Steven Adams. Probably something that we're looking at. But yes, just looking at the Tuesday games. Michael Porter Jr., currently the best one that we're getting there. I am perfectly fine betting that on both Underdog and PrizePicks. I think he's going to be good to go. I do think he's going to be the number 2 option there. We look at what he averaged last season. I think that's a pretty good indication of what's going to occur again. He'd be someone that at such a low number as well for him, he'd be a candidate. I think we're going to get a pretty good fantasy score prop line on, because with it being this low, like, you're going to add on maybe 24 would be the fantasy score prop line for him, maybe a steal. So that is a pretty good line to me. Then from there, KCP under points, rebounds, and assists. Very interesting with KCP. Like, we saw he's expected to start. The question is someone like Christian Braun going to get a lot of work in that game? You have heard Peyton Watson getting kind of a lot of hype from their coach, basically saying he's a good replacement for Bruce Brown. Got a veteran in there in Justin Holiday, who certainly could get minutes as well. So yeah, if we're really trying to gear up some bets for that Tuesday night slate, I don't mind KCP for the under. I do think that correlates kind of well with Michael Porter Jr. actually getting the over there as well. Then we're going to see D'Angelo Russell for over points and assists. I'm actually curious as to where D'Angelo Russell's minutes are going to get allocated, because to me, his production is somewhat going to be dependent on rotation. Okay, going to be starting most likely with AD and LeBron. That's fine, but what's it going to look like? Is he going to be getting a lot of minutes with the second unit, and then we're going to see LeBron and AD come in? Are we going to see that split where Russell's playing some of his minutes with LeBron, some of his minutes with AD? My point is, if he's playing a majority of his kind of second rotation minutes with that second unit, he's going to be the player that is just chucking up a bunch of shots. And we know that from D'Angelo Russell. That is something that he typically does, is just get out there and chuck shots. I will say this matchup against Denver, it's a close scoring game. He was kind of a disappointment for the Lakers. Maybe this is a good bounce back spot right away. If you just want to go points at 13, that does seem pretty low for a guy that averaged, almost 17. Once again, we got to see what the rotation is like there. From there, Jokic probably not touching that one. If you wanted to, by all means, you could. That's a lot, though, right? That's a double-double with assists and rebounds, pretty much. Obviously, more rebounds, but you get the point. Turnovers, D'Angelo Russell over 1.5 turnovers. I actually kind of like that one. Austin Reeves over 1.5 turnovers. I don't know if he's going to be getting that much usage with the basketball, so I don't know if I want to touch that. LeBron James over 2.5 turnovers. That's an okay one. Then I just want to pull up that use of prop just directly. We are going to, I don't know why I keep saying his first name, Nurkic prop there. We do see the projection data actually does like the over pretty much there, and I do agree with it. I just feel like he's always been like a point per minute player, and I do think that this is another situation where once we get the fantasy score props, I don't think it's going to be that high, probably at 24.5. That'd probably be one that I think I'd be willing to bet the over on. And I bring up the fantasy score props because probably a lot of you guys know this by now. That typically is our biggest edge. We saw that at the tail end of the season last year with NBA, where I started to put an emphasis on that. We saw it in MLB. I mean, the hitting fantasy score props were awesome. We have seen a lot of good situations for NFL when they're not really factoring in touchdown upside, where we can gain a big edge there as well. So eventually, I kind of like using those ones the most. But guys, it is the opening night, and I just feel like the lines are mostly correct, I will say. I like the Yusuf one. I think we're good with the Michael Porter Jr. one. I'm fine with those two. We look at assists for Chris Paul. I would say that one's probably correct. Austin Reeves for over 1.5 threes made is a little bit interesting to me. Does feel like we're probably chasing that one a little bit. Then really the only bet with KCP I probably would want to make is the over 1.5 blocks and steals, but still it feels like we're forcing it. So I'm going to give you guys a bet of the day. Well, that's first. Let's start with, let's get into underdog here, and I'll give you guys a bet of the day because it probably most likely will be on underdog there. So I got the two slates selected there. We can see MPJ is going to be a good one. We got D'Angelo Russell as a pretty good one. We are just getting better prop bets there. Taurean Prince is somewhat intriguing there at 7.5, I will say, because if he is someone that is going to be playing that much, I mean, I've always liked Taurean Prince. It's kind of weird that they are trying to get him minutes, and obviously it'd be the fifth option in that starting lineup, so it's weird, and I guess I don't really trust it now that I'm talking about it, but we can see PrizePicks has it set at 8, so a slight edge there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I think we're going with these two. So yeah, let's get into the bet of the day, and I'll be getting out of here. All right, so starting out with the underdog slip, the two best bets that we saw that we are getting available for that slate, for the Tuesday slate, is going to be Michael Porter Jr. for over points, rebounds, and assists. We see that got already bumped on PrizePicks to 21, so get on that one right now. And we also are seeing this one is one that got bumped as well, but it has less of a likelihood to hit. About a 53.5% chance for D'Angelo Russell to get over 18.5 points and assists. We know he's someone that's going to shoot. It's just whether or not he's making it or not. Nice thing about it is if he is struggling, he's going to be passing the basketball a little bit more. So that is an encouraging thing. And then I wanted to make it a 3 slip bet. I like doing those on underdog because the payout's better than on PrizePicks. So I tossed in another good EV bet that we have Gordon Hayward for over 4.5 assists. That has a 54% chance that has since been bumped up on PrizePicks as well. And now looking at my favorite pop bets for PrizePicks, you got Yusuf Nurk for over 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists. The interesting thing is that this line opened up at like 23.5 for points, rebounds, and assists, has since come down to 21.5. I don't know. I would say that the original line was probably correct. I'd probably favor that more so. And then we have Michael Porter Jr. for over 21 points, rebounds, and assists. We are still seeing that is one of the better bets that we are gaining. We are seeing, though, that the PrizePicks slip is currently the tightest of the two between underdog and PrizePicks. I will say I would like these better probably as fantasy score props. We won't get those until probably midway through the day on Tuesday, so it's tough to say for sure. And then went with a good EV bet that we are currently getting. Xavier Tillman for over 6.5 rebounds. Steven Adams not going to be playing, so that's going to mean Tillman is going to be forced into more minutes, most likely. And then another good one at 53.5% chance that Anthony Edwards for over 3.5 assists. We will see. I don't know. We know he's going to be a high usage player, at least. I don't know. I like him for, can he win most improved? It's kind of like the Giannis situation where, he won most improved, and then he's like, I can't win most improved again because if I do, I'll win MVP. Kind of feels like Anthony Edwards this year. I feel like he'd be a sneaky MVP candidate. But that's going to be all for this video. Reminder, let me show you guys this. Reminder of the promo code. Use the promo code NBA to get 50% off your first 9 to 5 membership. This is going to be available for new members only. This offer is going to be valid until 10/30. So 7 days since this video is posted. And then after the first month is up, it will go to $10 a month, which is still obviously a great value. All right, now it's going to be all. Make sure to hit the notification bell, guys, because the NBA season is crucial to get those good EV bets. And I'll be starting the videos off most of the time with those good EV bets to kind of just get you on the good prop bets that'll lead to success throughout the whole season. That's going to be all, guys. I probably won't be going too hard on Tuesday, just as an FYI. Get the feet wet, right? Just dipping our toes into the water. That's all. Let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.